Okay, this is chapter 7.4, multiplying fractions. And we're going to use the models again today, but you're going to like it. It's kind of cool. It's the models that we use from the website. I want to just remind you real quick what we've done so far. When we multiply, we're always talking about that number 1. When we multiply by the number 1, it's equal. If we multiply by something greater than 1, then it grows, okay, or it gets bigger. Say it grows. If we multiply by something less than 1, it gets smaller, or it shrinks. Okay, and whenever we're talking about fractions, a lot of times we're talking about less than 1, in fact, almost exclusively. So if we multiply, if we take half of a number, like half of 4, say I have 4 cookies and I want half of them. Most of you can do in your head and figure out that half of 4 is 2. This is just multiplication. This is like what we did yesterday, or on the last lesson, 1/2 times 4. And if we rewrite that as 4 ones, that equals 1 times 4 is 4, and 2 times 1 is 2, and 4 halves ends up simplifying down to 2 wholes. But something even more amazing happens. So this is smaller than 1, okay? And when you multiply a number times something that's smaller than 1, you get something that shrinks. So this 4 shrunk down to 2. Okay. When you multiply something by something smaller than 1, though, say you have something smaller than 1 multiplied by something smaller than 1, what you actually get is something even smaller than either of them. You get 1/6. 1 times 1 is 1, and 2 times 3 is 6. And so it's like taking that half, this is a half, and we're cutting it into 3 pieces. And that leaves us with 6ths. So if we had a whole, and we cut the other half into 3 pieces, you could see that you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We started with a half, and we cut it down 1/3. Basically, we're taking, let me erase this and start over. We have 1/2, and we want 1/3 of that half. So 1/3 of the half is 1 slice out of 3 of the half, and that gives us this tiny number, 6ths. And this is the tool that the internet gives us. And one of the neat things about the internet is there's some neat tools there. So if we do this, the number of columns equals 2, and we slide this over to equal 1/2. And then the number of rows is thirds, and we slide this up to equal 1/3. Okay, so this is 1/2. The blue represented 1/2. And then when we slide this up, that's 1/3, 2/3, 3/3. So if we take 1/3 of 1/2, it ends up being this piece. And there are 6 total pieces, and this one piece is green. So our total is 1/6. And we say equals to see if it's correct. Correct. And terrific it is. Okay, so if we want to try that again, I don't know how we clear this out. I guess go, no, fractions, multiply. Shouldn't have to do this every time. There's got to be a way to, maybe this button here clears it all out. Alright, so if we take something simple, your book says that Jane is making reusable grocery bags and lunch bags. She needs 3/4 yard of materials to make a grocery bag, and a lunch bag needs 2/3 of the amount of material of a grocery bag. So how much material does she need to make a lunch bag? So 2/3 of the grocery bag, so that's 2/3 of, and I'm going to just write it over here real quick, 2/3 of 3/4. It takes 3/4 to make a grocery bag, but she's not making one of those. She's making a lunch bag, and it takes 2/3 of the bag, of the grocery bag, to make the lunch bag. And that's kind of confusing, but it's 2/3 of this number. And remember that of means times. So it's 2/3 times 3/4. And we use our little model to show 2/3 times 3/4. So if we make this into thirds, and we say, okay, we have 2/3, and we make this into fourths, and this is 3/4. So we go 1, 2, 3. So we take 3 out of 4 of all of this 2/3, and we see that we have 6. So I can put 6 in here. The other number, we have to count all of the squares. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So it's 6 out of 12. Now 6 out of 12 is a good answer, but it would simplify down to, and most of you can see it, 6 out of 12 would simplify down to 1/2. And if I had put in 1/2, and I check that, I still get the right answer. If I were to, put in something ridiculous just to see what I get, it says I'm wrong. 2/2 is not the same as 1/2. Terrific, it says. Okay, that's how it works. And you can use this intermediate fractions I tool for multiplication of fractions if you want to check something out. Oh, let's see. Oh, there we go. The little broom there helps me do that. But it's okay for you to also just do it on paper, which is really the way I like to do it. Once you get the model in your head, you can take something like 3/4 and you multiply it by 1/6, and you just simply multiply. 3 times 1 is 3. 4 times 6 is 24. Now I say simply multiply, and that's only kind of simple because then you have to simplify when you get to the end, and you have to decide, well, is 3/24 the simplest? Can I divide them both by some number? Can I divide them both by 3? Well, yeah, 3 divided by 3 is 1, and 24 divided by 3 is 8. So a simple answer for 3/24 is 1/8. 3 goes into 24 8 times. We can kind of see how that works. And we just do it like this over and over again. And it's fun. Fractions are fun, and multiplying fractions is easier than adding them.